Hello, it is Jay, and here is what is the start of a new series for me, which is I've been dissatisfied with how social media, how I feel on social media. Not how social media makes me feel, but how I feel on social media. And really, when it comes down to it, it's like this isn't how social media is making me feel, but this is how I am reacting to social media. And it goes into rather it is an reiteration. It's another iteration of how I feel in certain situations about myself and my feelings of self-worth and stuff like that, which I've definitely struggled with throughout my life. And there's areas where I have a certain amount of competence that I feel competent in, that I've been able to kind of put that to one side. But there's still plenty of areas where I don't. One of those being how I interact with people on social media. Very limited way of how I interact with people on social media, that being for me just YouTube. So what I've decided to do is make it another project for myself. Like my vocal videos, my vocal presentation is something that I'm working on. I just did another vocal study video on how to do a presentation, how to practice for a presentation. I figured, okay, let's go over and work on this side of things, and it's all interrelated, obviously. And where I've gotten myself to is looking into CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is it's based on the idea of how you think and how you behave impacts on how we feel. And a lot of times when I'm on social media or in various kind of social situations, I feel pretty crappy, and I feel pretty crappy about myself. So let's do some research. Let's do some not vocal video. Let's do some research on that. Let's watch a video, take some notes, and report back here about what I have learned, or what people are saying, and what do I think about that, and how do I think I could how I could apply that to myself. To I can't control how social media is. I can control how I react to social media, and building up more of a kind of self-worth, more of just a kind of a confidence, more of a bedrock for myself. Then I'll be able to go out and hopefully be a more generous and open and confident person on social media, and just in my general life as well, because there's a lot of what they talk about are in this video this is CBT, Unhelpful Thinking Styles, Stop Self-Sabotage Now, by Brbr Hffrmn. She talks about identifying these unhelpful thinking styles. And see, it's definitely, it's a touchy subject for me. It's something that I have emotional content over. So let's go through this video, and I'll try, and we go through, I think, about how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways, thinking styles that aren't that helpful for going in your life and reacting to situations. So yes, this is Brbr Hffrmn, who is a counselor. I should actually look up what her qualifications are. But regardless of that, this is stuff that I've heard before other places, and it's good to get a restatement of them here and to go through them. So she comes up with this scenario at the beginning. First, she talks about how we think and how we behave impacts on how we feel, and that the thing with cognitive behavioral therapy is to try and help you adjust how you think, and then with that adjust your behaviors. It's both the thinking and the behaviors that they are interested in working on with you, and something that you should think about, you should think and act on in your daily life. So she uses the scenario of you meet somebody, you kind of have a bit of a relationship, but they decide to end it. And so what do you think? and she kind of goes through a couple of things that you might think. You think, I'm a loser. I'm never going to find a life partner. Boy, I really screwed that up. Or do you think, oh, I'm really sad. I'm really bummed out that didn't work out. But I'll probably take some time to kind of process that. Oh, it's like, that's too bad, but I'll then go on with my life. So she goes through those. First, I'm a loser. I'm a loser is a good example of the first two kind of unhelpful thinking styles, which is 1, labeling, and 2, emotional reasoning. That is where you say, like, I'm a loser. Just like you just narrow everything down to a negative perception of yourself. You label yourself a loser. Well, there's nowhere to go from there. Number 2, emotional reasoning is, well, you feel like a loser, therefore I must be a loser, and you apply that to yourself, and you're stuck at Loserville, and you're never and then of course you go, and you can use that also, that emotional reasoning, like you get really angry at somebody you love and you think, oh, I hate them, I can't stand them. But once you kind of cool down from your anger, oh no, actually I still love them. That was just, I was in that emotional state, and in that emotional state, that's all I could think was that I hate them and I can't stand them and I don't want to see them ever again. But once you kind of cool down from that, it's like, oh no, that's not actually how I actually feel. That just kind of overwhelmed the entire picture. For the I'm never going to find, like, oh, I broke up with this woman broke up with me, or whoever, if it was me, if it broke up with me, it's like, oh, I'm never going to find anyone ever again. I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. I'm going to die alone. Is the number 3 is catastrophizing, where you go to the worst thing that could ever happen. Like, just because this one relationship broke down doesn't mean you're never going to have a relationship ever again. And this is sort of one of these things of, she talks about, actually, with all of these, of like, well, what would your friend say in a situation? Like, if you saw your friend break up with someone, you'd say, like, well, it didn't work out with them. They're missing out on a really good person. You're not a loser. You're a good person. You've got plenty of great things. And they'd also say, like, well, just because you broke up with this person, well, it didn't work with them, but there's plenty of other people around who might have different ways of might have people that you'd be better suited to. So maybe that was for the best, and you it's not like it's going to be the worst thing ever. It's like, no, this just opens up other opportunities from there. Okay. So, okay, I just got a text, so I'm going to zip through the rest of this. All right, I screwed that up would be another thing, which is personalization, where you decide it's all about you, whereas you don't know what's going on with this other person's life. And there's plenty of others I can see in my own life. Oh, there's plenty of things that happen where I just take it in. It's all about me, when it's not all about you. Even if it's maybe partially about you, it's not always all about you. So that's definitely one of the, I really identify with that one. Or it's all of the above, which can also, that is being labeling, emotional reasoning, catastrophizing, personalization is self-sabotage, when you get all those together and you just completely short circuits, like for this, having another relationship with someone. Or for me, probably, oh, I suck at commenting on social media, so I throw it all away, which is what I've sort of done, which is why I'm doing this. Or you say, oh, I'm really sad and bummed out that didn't work, but and you're not blaming yourself, and you're maybe not blaming the others, but it's a kind of a process. You go through it, you kind of like, you let it go and you let it pass through you, where that would be actually helpful ways of dealing with a situation. The other scenario that she talks about is, that is a little mechanical thing. That is not my inner voice. Yeah, boy, where all these negative voices come from. The other scenario she talks about is a boss kind of storms through the office, blows by you, doesn't talk to you, and you immediately think, oh shit, I did something wrong, and oh my god, I'm going to get fired, which is a good example of mind reading, where you assume you know exactly what someone is thinking, whereas you don't actually go and follow up. This might be a thing like, oh, hey, what's going on? At which point you hear, myriad of other things that are which is, to number 2 again, which is personalization of like, oh, it's not all about you, so maybe it's that again. And number 3, of course, you're getting, oh, I'm going to get fired is immediately where you go to next, and that's catastrophizing. So there's that. And then a final kind of negative. So those are all the things those are all the things from that scenario. So I'm zipping through this. The final thing is the idea of when you just basically you filter out, you have a mental filter which filters out all the positive things and only fixates on the negative things in your any feedback you get tons of positive feedback, but you get one negative thing, and all you can focus on is that negative thing. And you don't take that as like constructive criticism of how, oh, I can use that to get better. It's like, no, you think, oh, that puts you into that spiral of, oh, I'm a loser. I can't do anything right. And it's like ignoring all the positive things that might, the positive things in your life and all that. So, she says like these are the three steps that you can take here to kind of combat these negative thinking styles is one is to ID those negative thoughts and to try and strengthen your mindfulness about, oh, here I am thinking negatively again. And she's got a video on this, which I might actually go to next is my next video to report on. Once and by identifying it, she goes like number 2, you categorize it. It's like, okay, well, what kind of negative thought is that? Is it a labeling? Is it emotional reasoning? Is it personalization? Is it mind reading? Is it the mental filter, or a combo of the things? Because it can be definitely a combo of the things. And once you've done that, is to say, hey, this is cognitive distortion. I'm not seeing reality here. I'm not seeing the actual thing. I'm not seeing what your friend would see looking from the outside. I'm seeing something that is a distortion of my thought process and my mood is what's happening here. It's not actually reality. And and when you get to that point, you can go like, well, how could I see that differently? How would a friend see this looking from the outside? And how can I be most powerfully, like how can I be a friend to myself going forward versus having your own worst enemy being this negative voice in yourself? All right, I'm going to leave it there. I have been Jay. This has been me talking about how, not that one, has been CBT, Unhelpful Thinking Styles, Stop Self-Sabotage Now by Brbr Hffrmn. I need to go pick someone up, but that was a little tough to go through, but it's really useful stuff. And I think I will actually try and write down, boil that down into little bare bones things and just put it in my journal just to kind of carry it with me. That would be a useful thing. So those are my things. Write it down into some smaller bullet points so that my eyes will linger over it, maybe put it at the beginning or at the end of my journal, and to go on and look at her next video as a start on this thing, because I found her presentation fairly clear, not too selly. Everything's a bit selly, but they have to make a living, and I have to try and hold on to my pennies. All right, I'm going to leave it there. More videos later.